There's something in Birmingham. Do you care if people are in here or not? You just do it now so you can see what's up.
Oh, they did. That's cute. Yeah, that is so cute. Yeah, I think I'll take this stuff really out.
Okay.
Folks, we have a few more people clearing security right now. We'll be started just momentarily. Oh, yeah.
No, that wasn't mine. Okay. Any of the chairs is fine. Yeah, that's right. Is this your chair?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Delina, DEA's Chief of Congressional and Public Affairs. In a few moments, Administrator Ann Milgram will arrive. Today, she will be discussing the results of a recent nationwide public safety surge focused on fake prescription pills, often laced with deadly fentanyl. She will give some opening remarks before taking your questions. Joining the administrator on stage will be Principal Deputy Administrator Lou Milione, DEA's Chief of Operations Ray Donovan, Special Agent in charge of the Special Operations Division Wendy Wilcock. Administrator Milgram will be available for some questions after her remarks. Please keep your questions on the topic of this enforcement operation being announced today. All statements and comments are on the record. Please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please raise your hand until I acknowledge you. Then state your name and affiliation for the record so we can follow up if necessary. All photos shown during today's press conference, as well as many other images from DEA's divisions around the United States, are available on DEA's Flickr page. We will also post today's presentation on DEA.gov. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. Ladies and gentlemen, Administrator Ann Milgram.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry to be a couple minutes late. Before I start, it is my great privilege to introduce the three people to my right. To my immediate right is the Principal Deputy Administrator, Lou Million. To Lou's right is our Chief of Operations, Ray Donovan. And to Ray's right is our Special Agent in charge of the Special Operations Division, Wendy Woolcock. I'm grateful to the three of them every single day for the work that they do, as well as to all the men and women of DEA who are working tirelessly to protect the safety and health of our communities. On a Monday in May 2021, the parents of a 15-year-old high school freshman found their son in his bedroom in Idaho. He wasn't breathing. And despite starting CPR right away and immediately calling for help, their son died of a fentanyl overdose. His death was caused by one pill that he purchased on Snapchat, a pill that he thought was a prescription oxycodone. It looked like a prescription oxycodone pill, but it was not. It was actually a fake pill containing a deadly dose of fentanyl. This kind of tragedy, which shows that one pill can kill, is happening every single day in countless communities across the United States of America. DEA's investigations show that these tragic deaths are not accidents. We know that these overdose deaths are directly caused by Mexican drug cartels that are flooding the United States with deadly fentanyl, with millions of fake pills, with ton quantities of fentanyl powder. The Mexican drug networks get chemicals largely from China, and then they mass produce, often in industrial labs, these deadly substances in Mexico. And then they pump this poison into the United States. And they are killing tens of thousands of Americans. DEA has seized an unprecedented amount of fentanyl, more than 15,000 pounds this year alone. And that fentanyl is directly linked to the staggering amount of overdose deaths that we are seeing in our country. Over the past year, 64,000 overdose deaths involved synthetic opioids, predominantly fentanyl. This is an existential threat to our communities, bringing harm and violence and shattering families. The amount of fentanyl that the DEA and our law enforcement partners have seized this year is enough to kill every single American. What is equally troubling is that the cartels have harnessed the perfect drug delivery tool: social media. Social media applications that are available on every single smartphone in the United States. 85% of all Americans have smartphones. That is about 280 million smartphones. When you open those apps, when you open Snapchat, when you open Facebook, when you open Instagram, when you open TikTok, when you open YouTube, the drug traffickers and the criminal networks are there waiting for you. DEA worked with our state and local partners in Idaho to trace the Snapchat sale of that fake pill that killed the 15-year-old boy. We traced that pill back to the drug trafficker. That drug trafficker also led a criminal network who shot and killed a man just a few weeks after this overdose tragic death. Our investigation also revealed that this criminal network distributed hundreds of thousands of fake pills, using social media, primarily Snapchat, to push their drugs to unsuspecting Americans, like the 15-year-old who lost his life. Another member of the same criminal network used Snapchat to try to sell guns so that he could buy more fentanyl proceeds. Another member of the same criminal network used Snapchat to try to sell guns so he could buy more fentanyl pills with the proceeds of those sales. In the Idaho case, the DEA and our state and local partners seized over 50,000 counterfeit pills and 20 firearms, including 3 AR-15s, 2 AK-47s, 1 submachine gun, 10 pistols, and 2 shotguns. DEA has also determined that these drug traffickers are directly tied to Mexican criminal drug networks. This investigation is an example of what we are seeing across our country. As these criminal drug networks flood our country with fentanyl, overdose deaths have skyrocketed. Last month, the CDC revealed that we have lost a staggering 100,000 lives to drug overdoses during the past year. These are our family members, our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, and our classmates. Lives that are needlessly taken, one every 5 minutes. The Mexican drug cartels don't care that they are killing a staggering number of Americans every day. They will just target and find new customers so that they can profit. Criminal drug traffickers have found a new tool to pump poison into our communities. They have turned our smartphones into a one-click stop to market, to sell, and to deliver deadly drugs. Drug traffickers are using Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and other mainstream social media apps. They target people of all ages. A curious teenager ordering a pill online, a college student trying a pill from a friend, an elderly neighbor searching online for a painkiller. Drug cartels have chosen to use social media to expand their business for several reasons. It's widely accessible. It's easy to use. Drug traffickers can hide their identities. They can lie about what they are selling. And most importantly, the sites permit the sale of these fake counterfeit pills every day to go unchecked. These criminal drug networks are misrepresenting what they're selling. People think that they are buying real Xanax pills, real Adderall pills, real oxycodone, using online platforms that they trust, when in reality they are getting deadly fentanyl in pills that look just like the real thing. This is why DEA took the unusual step of issuing a public safety alert for the first time in over 6 years. We know that criminal drug networks in Mexico are mass-producing fentanyl, using chemicals sourced largely from China and pressing it into fake prescription pills and pushing them as legitimate pills to unsuspecting Americans. With a simple click, as easy as ordering a pizza online, Americans are buying what they think are real medicines. What they are getting is fake pills laced with deadly fentanyl. Fake pills that are killing Americans and leading to an untold number of overdoses. Criminal drug networks are now front and center on social media, with us wherever our smartphones are. Known emojis and code words are being widely used as signals online in the online buying and selling of deadly drugs like fentanyl and fentanyl-laced fake pills. That means that these deadly drugs are reaching our communities faster, easier, and cheaper than ever before. They are just one click away. This past Tuesday, just 2 days ago, DEA completed a public safety surge, our second one since August, to target the most dangerous drug traffickers and drug trafficking networks that are pushing deadly drugs into our country. Our investigations revealed that these networks are directly linked to 39 overdose deaths. And 76 of our investigations involve criminal drug activity on Facebook and Facebook Messenger, on Snapchat, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, and on other social media platforms. 32 of our investigations are directly tied to Mexican drug cartels that are mass producing and distributing the fentanyl that is killing Americans. In total, between September 29th and December 14th of this year, the DEA seized over 8.4 million fake pills, over 5,400 pounds of methamphetamine, and hundreds of pounds each of cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, often in the same places that we've seized the fentanyl. We also seized 1,500 pounds of fentanyl during the enforcement surge. During the surge, the DEA has arrested 776 people, and we've also seized 288 firearms connected to these drug seizures. This record amount of counterfeit pills containing fentanyl seized by the DEA is chilling. Just 2 days ago, DEA agents in Arizona seized approximately 1.7 million pills and 13 pounds of fentanyl in a single operation. I am confident that the DEA agents and the task force officers prevented a significant number of overdoses and overdose deaths with just that seizure alone. DEA has seized year-to-date more than 20 million deadly fake pills and over 15,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. Our laboratory analysis in 2021 has shown that today, 4 out of every 10 fake pills with fentanyl contain a potentially lethal dose. One thing is clear. Today, criminal drug networks are killing Americans, and they are using social media to deliver their deadly doses of fentanyl. These networks are preying on Americans for profit, and they are fueling an unprecedented opioid overdose epidemic. DEA will stop at nothing to combat this threat to our country. This is what the DEA does. We take down the criminal networks and the drug traffickers who are producing fentanyl in Mexico, who are flooding it into the United States, and who are killing people across our nation. DEA urges the public to be a part of the solution. Know the dangers and the accessibility of deadly drugs online. Never take medicine that wasn't prescribed personally to you and filled by a licensed pharmacist. Spread the word that one pill can kill. And please talk to your family and friends about the danger of buying drugs online. And know that the DEA remains relentless in our commitment to take down the criminal drug networks that threaten the health and safety of our communities. Thank you.
We have time for a few questions. As I stated, please state your name and your affiliation. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Luke with ABC News. Is part of the increase in violent crime, across the country, is it specifically tied, some might say, to drugs? Specifically fentanyl, you talked about the number of guns you see. Is there a correlation there?
Even in these cases, as part of this surge, we talked about almost 300 guns that we seized. What I didn't mention is that in 31 of these cases, there was known violence, so a shooting or a homicide. So the short answer is that we know that drug distribution networks, that these criminal drug networks are engaged in violence. And so we believe that DEA has to play a significant role in reducing drug-related violence in our communities. As you know, that violence has been up during the past year, so we have an initiative to look at overdose deaths and drug-related violence specifically in our communities.
Hey, Robin here, CBS News. Thanks for doing this. Do you guys have any numbers on the age range of some of the victims of these criminal networks, particularly because social media obviously is more prominent among young people? But I should know if you see an increase in young people falling victim to these networks, and then any numbers in connection with that.
The answer to that is that when we do a lot of work around social media, for example, Snapchat, we do see a lot of younger users of Snapchat. That's the demographic that Snapchat is actually looking for, and that's who you usually find on Snapchat. Now, so there are younger users who are overdosing and suffering tragic overdose deaths. That said, we see people of all ages who are buying and taking these fake prescription pills. And what the online social media apps and other apps are doing is creating this, the ability of drug traffickers to reach countless more people than they could before. So sometimes it's an older person going online searching for a pain medicine that they think that they could legitimately buy through an online a website. And sometimes that's social media, sometimes that isn't. But the short answer is, while we do see concentrations of younger people on some of the social media apps, we're seeing these overdose deaths take place at young, middle-aged, and older Americans.
Thank you. We have time for one more.
Elaine Shannon. I'm independent. Who in the administration is talking to the social media companies, Mexico and China, and what results have you all gotten?
So at this point, I can speak for DEA. We're doing what we do, which is we're investigating. We're trying to understand the depth of the problem. What you see us doing here with this enforcement action is we are looking at the networks overall. We are tracing direct links between the Mexican criminal drug networks and the overdose deaths that are happening on the streets of the United States. We're also working very hard to trace the chemicals, the precursor chemicals that are coming from China into Mexico that are being used by the criminal networks, by the cartels, to make fentanyl and also methamphetamine. So what we're doing on social media right now is exactly what we're talking about today. We are doing investigations far and wide to understand what's happening. How are drug trafficking networks harnessing the power of social media to do this? We're also looking as deeply as we can into overdose deaths to trace back those networks to understand the depth of the harm that's happening. We believe that social media companies have not done nearly enough to address these problems. The social media, the apps, the companies, they're designed to connect millions of people. They're designed to encourage the flow of information. They're also designed to allow that often to happen anonymously. Some of them, like Snapchat, are designed to have 24-hour stories that disappear. These are havens for drug trafficking networks.
That's all the time we have. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, everybody.
Just a reminder that you can find the press release and presentation from today's news conference at DEA.gov, and images are available on DEA's Flickr page. Thank you for all of you for coming today. Our staff will assist you in exiting headquarters.